2x4s and 4x4s. So let's get to it. As people start rolling in here, I'll update you guys on what's going on. But it's like 20 degrees in here, freezing my butt off. But I got some toe warmers. That's pretty cool. But anyways, good morning, Boring Guy Nation. Enjoy the live. Okay. First things first. Gotta get my tape measure. Okay, so my plan's going to be, I have my table saw over here. Let me tilt you guys a little bit. Over to here. My plan is to make this a workbench that can also serve as an outfeed table for my table saw. So kind of a 2-for-1. So I want to make sure that the workbench is just slightly below this worktop, because I know that when I roll this all outside, my my driveway is pretty uneven. So if I make them dead straight with each other, I know it's never going to line up. So the workbench, I'm thinking, is going to be about 1/4 inch shorter than this table saw. So it looks like we got to make this thing, let's call it 33 3/4. Make sure it's the same over here. It should be, but yeah, I think that'll work. And then I also have to think of, it's got to get past the motor. What am I, like 50 years old? Not 50 years old, 100 years old. Man, I don't know. I'm too tired today. I woke up way too early for this stuff. Hey, Dylan, good morning. Hey, Johnny. Nice to have you on board. I'm building a workbench today. I need an outfeed table and a workbench. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm trying out a new microphone. I see a little confirmation that you guys can actually hear me. I had a lot of trouble last time, so I just wanted to make sure. I'll just awkwardly stare here until I see somebody say they can hear me or not. But anyways, yeah, so we're gonna make a workbench. So the first thing we're gonna do is, I got some of these just heat treated 4x4s. So these are gonna be the legs, and then some 3/4 inch ply for the actual table. And then I also picked up these 4-inch casters. Pretty nice. They're dual locking, so it's kind of cool, you know. They lock in both directions, so they lock the wheel and the caster itself. These are only like 21 bucks for a whole set on Amazon. Really can't beat that. I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, it's going to be a rolling bench. I think I'm going to use some pocket holes probably. Oh, thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it. Yeah, these cheap microphones, I swear, I never know if they're actually going to work or not. But it looks like they are. So, okay, first things first. Let's get this thing measured up one more time. We'll measure twice, cut once. You know what? 33 1/2. Yeah, I'll make 3/8 lower than this table, because if I make it any higher, I know I'm going to have issues with uneven ground. I don't care if the stock rolls off the table onto the bench. It's a little bit lower. So yeah, I'll 33 1/2. And the reason why I'm making this workbench, as you can see here, my table saw, and using that as a bench is not really a good idea. Starting to get beat up a little bit. Well, we'll pop out the old chop saw here. Man, we used to get yelled at. I used to go to a technical high school, and if we called it a chop saw, we'd get yelled at. It's a miter saw. That's always stuck in my brain all these years later. Just don't you dare call this a chop saw. Chop saw is for metal. Now, I just tuned this bad boy up actually 2 days ago, so hopefully this thing will be cutting nice and square. But man, it is eerie how similar these Hercules miter saws are to the DeWalt. Even down to some of the screws, they're like almost identical. Kind of crazy. Makes me wonder if they're actually made in the same factory, which I wouldn't doubt, you know. Maybe just under a slightly different quality control, I think. Kind of like Power Mat and Grizzly. I know they're all made in the same factory. They just have different quality control and slightly different specs. You know, depending, of course, Powermatic having the nicest and nicest finish quality, where you know Grizzly has basically the same castings, but you know, I guess is the right word for that. Okay, let's get this bad boy plugged in. And this is another reason I want that workbench. I want to leave some of this stuff permanently set up, because having to do this every single time is a huge hassle. I'm hoping I can leave the miter saw on there. I could leave the, maybe my sander. I have a little belt sander that I use all the time. Maybe I'll mount that on there. And then in the future, I think I'm definitely going to put a shelf below. Now, why I didn't get the material to build the shelf now is because I completely forgot. Okay, let's get cutting. So I'm going to cut 4 legs out of this 4x4 material here. So that's going to be the leg material. And then what I'm thinking is we'll pop these wheels on the bottom there. So it'll be a nice little mobile bench. And wow, I didn't even think of that. These casters just barely fit. That shouldn't be a problem, I don't think. Okay, so we got it. 33 and a half is going to be the plan. So I have to do a little math here, which I'm not that great at. So we also have to take into account the caster height. Let's see what that is. Yeah, I'm going to have to write this down because my brain is not big enough for all these maths. Okay, so this caster is, let's call it 5.5 inches. And then I don't know if you guys can see over here, but I'm going to double. So the top is going to be these 2 pieces of plywood here. 2 3/4 inch pieces of ply. You know, I'm going to do something a little bit interesting with that. So the final top is going to be 1.5 inches. That's the plan. So it'll be 1.5 inches. I lost my microphone there. I'm going to reset this up here. For some reason my plug unplugged. There we go. Okay, good. Anyways, what I was saying was I'm going to glue up 2 3/4 inch pieces of plywood and make an 1.5 inches. Now, it's 20 degrees out in my garage. I can't use wood glue. So I picked up this PL Performance Max or Max Performance stuff, and it claims to work down to 10 Fahrenheit. So should work. I mean, it's probably going to take like 10 weeks to cure, but I don't care because I'm going to do a bunch of screws. So we'll see that later. But anyways, yeah, so 4x4 leg, 2x4 frame, double stacked sandwich plywood for the top. I think that'll give me a nice flat surface to work on. Okay, so we got 5.5 for the casters. And then we have to account for the 1.5 inches for the top. So that's going to be plus 1.5 inches. So let's see here. We have 33. We need 33.5 is going to be our finished height. And it's funny, I don't have my phone here, so I'm going to actually have to do math the old school way. That's 31. Okay. I think that'll be 25.5. Let me just double check my math here. So if I take off 5, 26 and a half. That should get us to where we need to go. Okay, so we'll start cutting these legs at 26 and a half. We get rid of all this material. Even if it ends up being a little lower than I want it to be, I think I'm good with that. Thank you guys for joining early this morning. But man, yeah, this cold weather. I mean, I live in New England, so I can't even complain. I know some of you guys live in, you know, Minnesota, Illinois, all those really actual cold places. I can't even imagine. It's 20 degrees out here. I'm already bundled up like a, I don't know, a person that bundles up a lot. So we're going to do 26 and a half on this guy. You know, it's funny. Why does this seem way too short? You ever do the math on something and you look at it and you're like, nah, that can't be right. Inch and a half? No, it is. Huh. Anyways, I might actually be able to get 3 legs out of this. I didn't even think of that when I was buying this stock. For some reason in my head, I was thinking the leg was going to be somewhere around 4 feet. That is what happens when you just wing it. Okay, let's get this cut. Hopefully I got enough room here. You know, let me move this joiner out of the way. Yeah, that's what happens when you work in a tiny little shop. But I think this workbench really helped me out here. I was also thinking of maybe building some like temporary miter saw tables onto the bench, so that way I have a little bit of support on each side of the bench. We'll see. What I like about this saw, I think a lot of modern saws have this. They have a little shadow line on there. It's pretty cool. A lot of my older saws had the laser line. I absolutely hated that. It just wasn't very functional. Yeah, how am I going to support this? I think I might actually use this clamp. Yeah, see, this is the problem with trying to cut large stock here. Yeah. Let's use a snowblower. Oh, come on, look at that. That's just too convenient. The fact that that's at almost the right height is kind of crazy. Try to get this lined up again. Beautiful. Okay, one leg right there. And we'll mark up the third one. So I'm going to measure it out. See if anybody else joined. Wow, 33 people are watching Boring Guy. Oh, Johnny, thanks for joining. Have a great day. I appreciate you stopping by. That's awesome. I can't believe 33 people decided to watch me. Well, actually, it's probably not on purpose. They're probably just like skimming through. I'll take it. But anyways, if anybody hasn't been updated and building a workbench, I'm cutting the legs now out of some 4x4 stock. This is actually just the heat treated stuff. I didn't even realize that Home Depot sold non-pressure treated 4x4s, which is great because I don't need pressure treated in this situation. And I certainly don't need the wetness that the pressure treated brings with it. So this is actually fantastic. And guys, you know what? I have a bunch of forest blades, right, that I've bought way back in the day, and those things cut like butter, right? Beautiful cut. They're all dull at this point. They're all 15 years old. For each blade, it'll probably cost me between $40 and $60 to sharpen each. If I want to get the, traditional forest grind, which is kind of their trademark, right? Which makes them cut perfectly. Now, I bought one of these. I know you guys probably can't see it here, but it's a 12-inch Hercules blade from Harbor Freight. And I also have a 10-inch on my table saw right now. And I am, for the money, $40 for a 12-inch blade. It's a 40 tooth. And for the money, it cuts beautiful. I don't think it'll last as long as a high-quality blade. Most likely not. But for $40 that's the price it would cost me to sharpen my good blades. So I highly recommend the Hercules blades. They're great. At least the ones I've used. I can't comment on any of the higher tooth count models, but I would assume that they're just as good. I mean, why not? Even the Bauer blades. I've bought a Bauer blade in the past too. I've been pretty impressed. They don't last that long, really. But for like $15 for a blade, does it really have to last long? Like I said, some of the better blades, they cost that much money just to sharpen. Or double the money, actually, right? Okay, get another leg cut. And then we'll have our 4 legs. Thanks, Snowblower, for helping me out here. Appreciate that, Mr. Toro. Come on, what are the chances that's the right height? I don't know if you can see that, right? I'm resting it on the snowblower handles. That's just too convenient. But yeah, check this thing out. Look at how quickly this thing will cut through. I know most blades will do that when they're new, but I'm just trying to say Hercules blades are decent. Like, check this out. Let me see if I can get out of the way here, but like butter. Like it's not even there. I know I'm cutting pine, so I mean, it's not hardwood, but man, it just sails through it like it's not even there. Okay, we got our legs cut. Get this out of the way. Now, I'm thinking my plan is to use pocket hole construction. I don't need any fancy joinery here. We're just going to throw some pocket holes in all these side pieces. We're going to have to determine how big those side pieces need to be, but at least we'll get the jig out, get that ready. Hopefully, I have a battery that's actually charged. That is also the side effect of working in an ice cold shop, is that the batteries, they don't charge because it's too cold. They have one of those, like in the charger, it's like a built-in mechanism that will only charge above a certain temp. So we'll see. We'll see. I got, looks like I got half charge. I got 3 bars. 3 bars will do it. Incredible. Wicked awesome 3 bars, guys. I know, it seems like a lot of people either like or hate my Boston accent, which is pretty funny, I think. I've gotten some comments in the past. So one of my videos, they just probably got 100 comments of them making fun of my accent. I think it's hilarious. Like, I'm not going to change it for you, Mr. Commenter. Your comment is not wicked awesome. I just got one of these little R3 jigs. I've had this thing for like 15 years, and it's great. I mean, I would love one of the bigger ones, but I can't even justify it because it just works too well for what I use it for. Very infrequently. I'm more of a traditional. I won't say mortise guy. I don't really like making mortises, but like half laps, a lot of more traditional joints is where I usually go. But for shop stuff, pocket holes all the way. I don't have time to sit out here and make half laps and 4x4s and stuff, you know? And I think they'll provide enough strength. I'm not going to use glue again. Typically, I would use glue and pocket screws, but I know that will be a complete waste of time here because it's 20 degrees out. That glue will just get chalky. And the tube of glue or the tube of construction adhesive I'm going to use for the top is in my house right now, staying warm. If I bring it out here, it's going to get cold and not work as well. So I'm going to save that till the moment I need it. Okay, let's get our setup here. Okay, get our drill set up. Now let's figure out how big we need to make this. Now, I was also thinking, potentially, of incorporating this old vise that I have into the workbench. Now, problem, this is meant for a solid top, older, like English style workbench where you have, you know what, I think it's 2¼ inch thick top and this bolt underneath. Now, I was thinking of somehow incorporating this, but that would mean the stretchers going across would either have to be missing in some spots, or I double up the stretchers on one side. So it'll be like 2 pieces of plywood, 2 pieces of 2x4 here stacked up. But the only problem I can see with that, unless I notch those, that's going to leave me, let's grab one of these and see. So let's say I double up the 2x4s. I throw this under there. It's going to leave me quite a bit below the surface of the workbench, which would not be ideal if I ever want to use these dog holes. Or this little dog hole thing, whatever that's called. So we'll see. I could also overhang the top a little bit. You know, maybe overhang it 12 inches on one side. But I don't know if that 1.5-inch plywood, I'm sorry, the 1.5-inch plywood glued up is going to be enough heft to hold that vise without it racking. So I'll have to think about that. But first, let's just get things pretty much made. I was also thinking, I don't have a router table. So I was thinking of incorporating a router table in this workbench as well. Maybe put I have a little aluminum plate. So maybe I'll put that on one side, vise on the other. We'll see, but we'll get the bench made, and that'll be future lives. We'll figure that whole thing out. But we need a workbench first. Okay, so we're going to have a 4x4 workbench. Enough. Because in order to use this vise, I only need to overhang it 7 inches. So let's see here. If I make this... Let's shoot... I'm trying to think of how much smaller I want to make the actual legs. Maybe 1 inch, 2 inches in on each side, because I think that'll give me plenty of room to do some clamping, right? So Let's see, if we make it 43, we'll make it 42 by 42. That'll be the base. That'll give me 2.5 inches on each side and allow some room for if I want to throw any clamps on there or anything like that. I think that'd be a good idea. Hey, Perry, thanks for joining. Or bye. Thanks and bye. Hi and bye. Yeah, we'll make them 42. That sounds good to me. Now let's do a little math, figure that out. 42. Because I have a feeling too, once I glue up that top, I'm gonna have to trim off the sides as well. It's not gonna be a perfect 4 feet. So let's see here. So we got 7 inches. Okay, so we got 42. So each one of these stretchers has to be 35 inches, which should be pretty easy to accomplish. I'll square up an end. Again, I'm not worried about this stuff being perfect. It's going to be a workbench, so it's still pretty good. Actually, I just tuned this up. Let's check that. Not bad. Here, you know what? I think we're going to change up the support system a little bit here. I have a roller stand I can use, which might be a lot better in this situation. There we go. That's going to work out better for us. I'm going to re-square this end because I know that it jumped a little because of my weird support that I was using. $35. And I'm sorry, guys, I have this camera facing the wrong way. Now, the reason being is I actually don't have a plug on the opposite side. So I needed to plug in my phone today. So, you know, I know you guys are looking at my back, but I'll turn around eventually and finish up the rest of the bench. I don't think anybody's too eager to see my face anyways. And I think this live is good to show you guys how I work. As you can see, I don't plan much unless it's a really complicated project. I just wing it as I go. Even the setup of my tools, you know, I'm trying to keep it authentic to how I actually do things, you know. So I'm thinking the tabletop go like this. We'll do a quick measure to make sure I got that right, and then we'll just batch cut all these 2x4s. Beautiful. So now what I can do is I can just use this as my template. Now I usually mark a T or something on it just so I know it's my template, because if you don't, and I'm sure many of you guys know this, so I'm not gonna preach to the choir here, but I've seen guys, what they do is they'll use the next piece that they cut. So every piece they cut, they'll use as the template for the next one. Now the problem with that is, over time, if you're cutting a huge batch, it's either going to get bigger or smaller, because each cut's going to be slightly inaccurate, and then the next one's going to compound that every single time. So anytime you're doing batch cutting with a template, always use the first piece that you cut and only use that one, so you don't have all these compounding errors. especially if you're cutting like, 20, 30 things. By the time you get to the end, you're going to have a really wrong measurement. But man, I am loving this shadow line. I've been in the Stone Ages for a while with my older saw, and this is like the most convenient thing. Okay, so how many are we going to need here? We need 8 of these total, so I'm going to batch these out. I'm just going to check the chat here. Wow, 9 of you guys stuck around. I appreciate it. You know, it's funny, right? I know some people do this YouTube thing for fun. Not for fun, but for, try to make money and stuff. And I think many of you guys know it's not really for making money. Unless you're super successful, which is awesome, But I do this so that way my kids, when I'm long gone, or their kids, or whoever really, really anybody who wants to watch me, will have a library of different things that are related to DIY. So, if they want to make something, or, I'm hoping that if they encounter a situation where I'm not there to help them, hopefully one of my videos will in some way cover what they need to do and give them a little instruction. So that's kind of the point of this for me, is that I want my kids to have something. I'm not going to be able to teach them all the things that I know. I'm going to try. Whether they'll be interested or not, that's a different story. We'll see when they get a little bit older. But, the point for me is they'll have it. They'll have it there. Hopefully I live long enough to help them with everything they need. But somebody somewhere may use some of this information one day. And that is the whole point. I never intend this to get big. Now, if I do become rich and famous, that's cool too. Thanks, guys. You know what, too, though? I can't even imagine the stress of being a full-time YouTuber. Man, like you gotta fight the algorithm. You gotta make sure all your content is what YouTube wants, and usually that doesn't align with, very infrequently does that align with what you want. So I think a lot of people, they kind of have to make that choice, right? Whether they want to be successful, and of course you gotta have the talent, you gotta have that charisma too, right? You can't just be any person. As much as we all want to be, I don't, including myself, I don't think we have that kind of, or at least I don't. I'm not speaking for anyone else. I don't have that energy, right? But being a full-time YouTuber, like I know some of you guys probably follow Dad's Workshop. I think he's a full-time YouTuber, and that would stress me out. Big props to him, because man, I would be stressed to death trying to make content to hopefully make money. But if you haven't watched Dad's Workshop, check him out. Kelvin does some pretty cool stuff. I really enjoy some of his content. It's wild too. Like, he does some real, not crazy stuff, but stuff that I wouldn't even think of. Like he does a lot of tanning, like tanning hides, which is not a skill that I ever thought I would be looking for, but I find myself watching his videos thinking it's pretty cool. So yeah, if you want somebody that's has all sorts of good content, woodworking, hunting type stuff, not camping, but kind of natural, for the lack of a better term, natural living. Doing the best that he can to make stuff the natural way. Check out Dad's Workshop. Pretty cool. Yeah, we got 5. We're almost there. Hey, everything's still working there. I've had a lot of troubles with troubles. I sound like my dad. I had a lot of issues with YouTube Live last time. I don't think they were my issues. I think they were something weird going on. First, I couldn't get sound, and then I couldn't get video. Ooh, no, it's got a big staple in there. I don't think I noticed that. Wow, another big staple. Man, who's the guy that picked this thing out? Me. Sometimes I swear I'll pick up a 2x4, and I don't know if the guy has like a quota for how many staples he's got to use in a day. But one time I found a 2x4, and I swear it had 20 staples in it. So the guy at the lumber mill was like, "Man, I didn't use enough staples for today. I'm gonna get in trouble. So let's use all the staples." Gotta watch out, guys. Big staple. You don't mess with them. It's kind of like Big Pharma. Can't mess around with big staple. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. One more. I'll get one more. And then we can start pocket holing. You know, it still always amazes me though how quickly they grow these the wood for 2x4s and framing lumber. I mean, look at this. This is insane. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 growth rings here. Like, and this thickness of a wood having 4. That's why the stuff is like, man, it's the lightest stuff you can possibly get. I have a 100-year-old house. And one time I was trying to put in a ceiling fan in my bathroom. And, you know, I was cutting it out with a recip saw. And my God, I've never encountered a more difficult to cut piece of wood. It was old growth pine. And when I took this piece off, I wouldn't doubt, I didn't count them, but I swear it looked like there was 100 growth rings. It was crazy. You really can't beat the hardness of that old growth southern yellow pine. That stuff is like rock. Sometimes could be even harder than actual hardwood. Okay. So what I'm thinking here is, let's just do one more check. Make sure everything is what I'm thinking it's going to be. So I'm going to throw a caster here. I guess it's too late now. I don't have any more wood, but so that's going to be the caster height. The top is going to be 1.5 inches, so we'll just use this as a substitute for now. And if I did this right, I should be at 33.5. Let's see here. 33.25. I'll take it. That's good enough for me. I don't know. I was a little bit off somehow. 1/4 inch though is not going to matter for me. That will be okay. Because what I'm also thinking, that actually might be a benefit, because I just had another idea popping in my head. What I was thinking too is for an outfeed table. I don't know if you guys have seen those little bearing rollers. Harbor Freight sells them. They're all over the place. But I'm thinking on the top, if this top is a little bit lower, if it's low enough, if I actually messed up enough to make this work, I could make a board with a bunch of those little rollers on it and just plop them on top of the table when I'm using it as an outfeed table. I think that might be a good idea. We'll keep that in this brain. See, guys, sometimes if you make a small mistake, it might be in your advantage. Sometimes. Usually not, but take it when you can. And it may sound like I'm repping Harbor Freight a lot, and it's because I am. Harbor Freight has allowed me to do so much in woodworking that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So all the people that bash Harbor Freight, I get it. If you're a pro, some of the tools aren't the best for you. I totally understand. But if you're a DIYer like me, I am allowed to do things that I would never be able to do because I can't afford the tools. So for me, like this Hercules saw is great. Works out perfect for me. Whereas some things would not work for a pro. But man, I embrace it because it allows me to do stuff. Now, if I had the money for Festool and all that junk, you better believe I'd have it. But I don't. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to batch this out. I'm going to try to stand on the other side so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Oh, hey. Sorgianato. Sorry, I cannot pronounce your name. It starts with an S. I apologize, but thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you watching. But I agree. Yeah, they do have some really decent tools. I really like their stuff. And again, for like half the price of some other, places, you really can't beat it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to batch out a bunch of pocket holes. We're just going to sit here and drill them all out. Like I said, I have this little R3 jig. I don't actually have the Craig face clamp thing, but I found these, another Harbor Freight thing. Again, I'm repping Harbor Freight here big time, is the Bremen hand clamps. You can usually get them for, I think these are like $7.99, $8.99. And I've had Irwin, I've had Jorgensen, I've had some of the more expensive brands, right? Still my favorite. I still go back to these. They have a super comfortable handle. You can crank the crap out of these and get them real tight. And they're just smooth. They work great. So I use these a lot for my pocket holes, or I use this to clamp everything together. I use them for everything. So if you're looking for an inexpensive clamp that's actually pretty darn good, pick these up. The Bremen Quick Style clamps. Absolutely love them. So now we're going to just batch these out real quick. Some of those, Craig has a really cool pocket hole machine now. I'm a big tool nerd, so you're going to hear me talk about tools a lot on the channel. I think most of us are probably tool nerds, but they have this new, what's it called? Why is this slipping my mind? Pocket hole. It's like an automatic pocket. Almost looks like a biscuit joiner. A little pricey, but if you're doing a lot of pocket holes, I don't see how you could beat it, because you can bring it to larger projects, which I think is really cool. Now they have the Craig Foreman, which I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's basically it's a benchtop unit. But the problem I see with that is that, again, once you run into stuff where you're building bigger projects, you can't bring the piece to the tool. You got to bring the tool to the piece. So I think Craig did a really good thing making that new style pocket hole joinery system. Again, that'd definitely be something if you use a lot of pocket holes. I know pocket holes tend to be the go-to for beginners because they're easy and they provide a really strong joint. But I find myself, as I progress in woodworking, I use them less and less. Unless it's for, more utilitarian projects or places where you won't see it, like inside cabinets, stuff like that. I'll definitely use them. But a lot of people have hate for pocket holes because they're just not good, or you're not a woodworker if you use pocket hole jigs, screws. And I don't think that's true. I think there's an application for everything. But as you can see here, this is why I love this little R3 jig. This little R3 guy here. Really convenient to use. Just never let me down. I've probably drilled, and I know this isn't jig specific, but I have drilled hardwoods, softwoods with this drill bit here. Is 15 years old. Now, I had a long pause in between woodworking, but I wouldn't doubt if I've drilled at least 1,000 holes with this drill. And that might be underestimating things. Still sharp. I was going to buy a new one the other day. I'm like, oh, maybe I should buy a new one. And then I said to myself, it's still working. Why? But there are some companies that make some real nice metal ones. Now, I don't know if that matters. I've never had a problem with the plastic and the Craigs. But I see some companies, they make some metal types, which might be heavier duty. What I really like, though, is Craig actually came out with the Pocket Hole XL, I think. Now, let me just drill this hole real quick. Now, that is for use, I think, in like frame. Not like house framing, but when you're using 1.5 inch thick or larger timber. And I built a pergola a couple years ago. Pergola. Now, my Boston accent coming out. And I used pocket screws to join some things. And man, I wish I would have had the Pocket Hole XL, because that would have been amazing. Because I was using this jig, and I just wasn't getting enough bite into the, what are those pieces called? The cross pieces of the pergola on top, the lattice part, or whatever you call it. I wasn't getting enough purchase of that screw using these, even the 2.5 inch screws. That wasn't enough. So luckily, or unluckily, a tree fell down on that pergola, which really stunk 2 years ago. And I have to get one made. I've been slacking on that big time. So I have to get either someone to make it or, remake it myself. I don't know. But I will need, hopefully, they can utilize something like the Pocket Jig or the Pocket Hole XL from Craig. Pretty cool tool. See, we're sailing through this. Look at that. It's going much quicker than I thought. I mean, I'm not surprised. This stuff is like cardboard. It's like... I guess the one good thing it has going for it is sustainably forested. Well, hopefully it is. I mean, at least they say so. Here, another one of my side stories here. I'm sure you guys love my stories. But again, I live in a 120-year-old house. So you can imagine that most of the trees around my house are pretty darn old, big. About 5 years ago, I had 3, no joke, 80 to 100-foot pines. And they were probably, I measured one of them. The biggest one was like 33 inches in diameter. It was massive, right? And they were straight grained. They were beautiful, right? So me being not the brightest bulb in the bunch, got them cut down. We had a local guy who was great. And there was a price for him to take everything away, and there was a price for him to leave the logs, but just, chip up all the branches and stuff. We chose option 2, because in my head, I was going to get a chainsaw mill, and I was going to mill up like 100 beautiful slabs. That was in my head, right? But I don't know if you guys have been listening. I have a full-time job. I have 2 kids. I don't have enough money to buy a mill. All the things that you would need to actually mill lumber, maybe a tractor or something to move it around, big logs. So unfortunately, I had all this beautifully straight-grained, knot-free pine, and I had to cut it all up and just get rid of it. It was a horrible process. It took me months. And I even called some of the local lumber yards. I said, hey, do you guys want this beautiful pine? And it wasn't worth it to them. It wasn't even worth the trip, which is crazy because it was old growth. I mean, they could have made some money, I would think, out of it. But at least the local guys that I called around me, they just didn't have the need for it. They didn't want it. If it wasn't hardwood, they didn't want it. So long story short, is I was over ambitious, and now I have about 100 big log cookies sitting in my backyard rotting away. Because that pine rots up so quick. I mean, it's been 5 years about, and stuff's like completely decomposed at this point. But I do have 4 other giant pines, which I don't intend to cut down. They're actually in a good spot. But if they fall down, we're cutting some slabs. We're gonna figure that one out. I don't care if I gotta jury rig some kind of cutting device. Just checking the chat real quick. You guys hear me okay? My microphone keeps flashing on me. I don't trust this thing at all. I don't know if flashing is good or bad yet, because it seems to work when it's flashing and it seems to work when it's not flashing. But I'm sure we all do this, right? I mean, anybody who's a woodworker. When you see like a lot of wood on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, where you see someone clearing out their shed, you know, maybe somebody's passed away or they're just done with woodworking, and they'll sell like, you know, you got like 500 board feet for like $300 or something, right? Man, I always want to jump on those deals, but then I look at my garage and I'm like, where the heck would I put that? Sorry, guys, I gotta go off camera and wipe my nose a little bit here. Really, really cold in here today. Well, 12 of you still stuck around. That's amazing. Okay, we're almost done here. We got 2 more stretchers, I think is what you call them, to drill. Now, I was thinking of doing 3 screws in each side, but I think 2 will be fine. If I got to add a little cross bracing later, we can do that. It's kind of like Bob Ross style woodworking. If I want a little screw right here, I'll just add a screw. It's my woodworking project, and if I want a screw there, I'll put a big old screw. I'm definitely not comparing myself to Bob Ross, but I would say my style is so similar. Or it's just like, see where the project brings you. To me, that's the funnest. I don't like to plan. To me, that makes it less fun. Again, unless I have a very specific thing that I have to build. Almost all my builds, you can check out my channel. Almost all of them, except for the jewelry box I made my daughter. Every other one is just, I wing it as I go. I think that's the funnest way to woodwork. You know, you're just having fun with it. You're not really locked into anything. And oftentimes I make mistakes, but I would say the majority of the times it actually worked out better for me. I found a way to make it better in ways I didn't even think, you know? And that kind of built my skill set for the next time around. I'm like, man, that was kind of a cool thing that I did. What if I do it this way next time? Now, I also have about an hour and a half commute to work. So you can imagine I have plenty of time to think up different ways to do things in woodworking. I'm just sitting there dying in my car. So I just, you know, we'll sit there and think through how I'm going to build something 500 times before I do it. Like this table, I've been thinking about building for a long time, so I don't really need plans. I just kind of know what I'm going to do, you know? Or another thing I'll do is I'll watch a bunch of YouTube videos and I'll see all the ways that you guys do it. And I'll steal some ideas. Awesome. We got all the stretchers done now. I think we're ready to start assembling. That was actually super quick. And I'm going to reposition you guys so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, hopefully. Hey, Eugene. Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. Now, I apologize. My garage isn't big enough for me to push this back enough, but hopefully, assembly area, perfect. You guys will be able to see what I'm doing. Why is this? Oh, I got it on setting 1. I was going to say this thing sounds so weak for some reason. So we'll put 4 stretchers around the top. I think that's what we should do. Or, see, I don't know. No, I don't like that idea. I was going to say for the vise, because the vise needs some clearance, right? I was thinking possibly we could put this below like that. And then the vise, where my face is, this is where the vise will go right here. So I'm the vise. Here's the vise. My name's Wilson. But anyways, I don't know if I like that because I don't think there'll be enough support across the whole top. Let's start putting it together. We'll see. Hi, Bianca. I don't know if that's my wife or not. Oh, I just leaked personal information. Uh-oh. We'll start screwing this together. I mean, I don't give out personal details on any of my videos, but like, it's so easy to find people these days. Like, it's not even like, it's kind of crazy how easy it is. You can just Google roughly somebody and you can figure it out. You know, I think that's kind of crazy. Yeah, I think this joint's going to be, that's going to be plenty strong. I'm not worried about that at all. You know what? Let me make sure I'm putting the ugly parts on the inside here. Yeah, it's kind of ugly. Put that right there. Man, thank God I'm pointing away from the camera because I don't have a belt today, and this is driving me nuts. And this is not a plumbing channel. It's one thing I don't get into is plumbing, so. And I'm not a lefty. You know, some people can use their left hands. Like my son, he could somehow use the left side of his body like his right. Without even thinking about it. Me, I don't even know what to do with this hand. Like this is my throwing motion with my left hand. Like, I don't even know. I have no idea what to do. So, you know what I'm thinking? I'm going to want to put a shelf on this. So I think we can put these bottom stretcher just right at the bottom. That'll give me a little room for a shelf. Yeah, I think that'll work. Now here's the fun part about construction lumber is we're starting to get into the, how do I hold this so it actually sucks together properly? Wow, that was lucky. Okay, so we got one leg here. Oh yeah, that's gonna be super solid. I'm happy with that. Kind of looks nice too. I like the proportions, you know, even though it's a workbench. Let's see here. Now this is the moment of truth, right? We're gonna see how. I know I was like an inch off, but if I throw this on there like that, oh yeah, with the top, that's gonna work out great. So I'm going to make the other version of this right now. Man, this is going together so fast. It's like almost like I know what I'm doing. It's insane because I don't. What side looks better? I think that'll be the outside. Yeah, we'll go with that side. There we go. Yeah, I don't really care what it looks like, but no, I used 4x4s because one, they weren't that expensive, and two, I figured it would add some nice heft to this workbench. You know, when I'm hammering stuff on there and stuff, I want this thing to be rock solid. Huh. This is wicked, not square. Maybe it is. That's my square. It is square. It's just be an illusion or something. I don't know. Maybe this is all jacked up. Oh, it is. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like snipe almost. Good kind of a. Oh, that's pretty bad. I'm gonna not use that side. Let's use. We'll use this side. There we go. Ah, much better. Yeah, I know this is construction lumber. It's not meant for fine finish. I get it. You know, that's another topic. Snipe and planers. For anybody who's not familiar with snipe, I'll give you a quick lesson. So snipe, I don't actually have a piece, and this is actually not a great example, but snipe happens when you're planing a piece of wood. So again, I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with a planer, but if you're not, a planer thicknesses a piece of wood. It has blades that spin like this. It passes through, and it thicknesses the wood to a certain thickness, right? In short. Now, what happens sometimes, say this is the blade spinning. Imagine like a cylinder with a bunch of blades on it. This will come through, and it shaves shaves a layer off the top, and again, thicknesses the wood. But sometimes when you put a board in the planer, you might put it in at an angle, and when it comes down, it shaves a bunch off, and then it gets pulled down, and then the rest is fine. So you end up with a couple inches on the front or the back of the board that are gouged out a little bit, right? That's called snipe. So that's what I'm seeing here with this piece of wood. It has a lot of snipe on the end. I know a lot of people talk about snipe and how to reduce it. To me, it's not a big deal most of the time because I'm going to cut off that inch or two at the end anyways. But I can see how it could matter when you're working with expensive wood. You wouldn't want to lose any. But that was an interesting real world situation where I saw snipe. I thought was pretty relevant to this conversation. Now, this is also one of the big reasons I'm making this table is I need an assembly area. If the material has been too big for my table saw, I do it on the floor like this and it kills my knees. This is an old floor too, so it's sort of flat, but not as flat as I would need for some projects. So I'm hoping that this workbench will solve that issue for me. Have a nice smooth, purpose-built bench. Oh man, that's got some serious twist in it. Look at that. Wow, I don't know if I'm going to even be able to pull this in. Let's get a clamp. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, just big enough. There we go. Awesome. We got the two sides built. And now we can connect them. Probably going to do the bottom ones first because that's easy. That was a little bit off there. We need a little more crank in here. Well, you know, a sander with 80 grit sandpaper, it's kind of like caulking for a painter. Makes you a carpenter you ain't. Sand that down, no one will know. Except for you guys. Let's see someone join here. Hey, Tony. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Building the workbench here. Nice little 4x4 assembly table. We'll slap this together. Oh, my knees. Ah, you know what? I'm going to use the clamp for this. I'm going to be smart. That way I don't have to worry about it being all wonky. Isn't it like the Wonky Donkey? I think that's a kid's book. I don't want this being no wonky donkey. I can already tell this is a little bit wonky donkey over there. That is framing lumber for you, though. You can only pick through the stack so many times before you just like take whatever I can see. You know, I never understand though at Home Depot and Lowe's when you go. Like, there's some obvious cull lumber that they just leave on top of the pile. And it's usually just so obvious, it's ridiculous. Oh, look at that. I got a lot of bow there. That's interesting. Well, you know what? We're just going to go down flat and we'll force the other one flat. Hopefully that'll be good enough. Okay, get that one done. Then I'm sure we can square things up once I put the top on. Oh. And I think I'll just flip this around. And we'll do the 2 last screws. Oh, no, it's this one. Yeah, I had a feeling we'd have a little bit of jiggle here. Hopefully when I throw that top on, we'll have it everything will suck together a little bit better. You can see here we got a little bit of racking, which I kind of had a feeling was going to have, but pretty easy to push out of it. So I think we'll be good there. Now that we got this assembled like this, put the side piece in that way. And I'll put the ugliest 2x4 on the ground. I'm hoping I'll build a shelf for this so you won't even see it. Not that it matters. I mean, it's a piece of shop furniture, right? Let's see if I can get this by hand. Beautiful. Now, the one tool I will say that I'm glad is Milwaukee is this drill. I love this thing. You know, again, huge Harbor Freight guy. I've never used their Hercules line. Could be misspeaking. It might be just as good, but the Milwaukee Fuel, man, love it. You cannot beat the power. It's just comfortable too. It's just right, you know. It's actually the only Milwaukee tool I own. Well, because I can't afford them. Not really because I want to not own Milwaukee, but my brother-in-law, God, he's got to have, I actually bought it from him. He's got to have, I don't know, 20 grand, maybe more, in Milwaukee tools. I always joke. Anytime I need something, I'm like, hey, you got a Milwaukee tool for that? Here, I saw this actually was all wonky here. Oh, man. I don't know how this got so off when I screwed it in. Well, we're going to fix it. I can't get it to catch. Well, it's in there. Okay, one more, guys. Now we got the base built, which is cool. And then what we'll do, I think, is we'll mount the casters real quick so I can roll this out of the way. And then we will try to build the top. I'm really interested to see how I'm going to do that. You know what I think I'm going to do? I know we're talking about the vise, how I was going to mount it. But let me screw this in. I have a thought. 1 second. Well, that felt gross. That did not go in. Why? Oh, you know what? Let's get this one in. We'll worry about that one afterwards. Yeah, I'll flip it over. And we'll deal with the other ones. Oh, man. I don't know what the heck happened here. Is there a screw in there? Yes. Okay, we'll fix this one up. We'll do that. There we go. That's much better. Now, what the heck is going on with this one? Well, for one, I'd probably say it needs a screw. It's that there. Okay, so now we got the frame built. Now let's decide which side is less ugly. This one, that, no, I'm just kidding. What side on this one is less ugly? Let's see. I think that's fine. We'll keep this as the top. That'll work. So here's what I'm thinking. And I think I kind of mentioned it earlier, but we're gonna play around with how we're gonna mount this vise real quick. So I'm thinking, if I just double or triple up this 2x4 right here, right? That should give me plenty of meat. Now, I'm not gonna have, it's not gonna be flush with the top. There's nothing I can do about that, and I'm okay with that. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll just do that. Again, if this is not flush with the top, it's not the end of the world for me. I don't anticipate myself using this top with bench dog holes. I'll probably use a T-track system, most likely. So I think, you know, being able to use this here, the little pop-up bench dog thing, is not going to be a huge deal for me. But we can always modify it in the future. So I'll start off with this because this is the least path of resistance right now, just to get this built. And if I need to even notch it out in the future, because if I have a triple here, or I mean, I'm sorry, a double 2x4 here, or even a triple, if I notch that out so that way this sits a little bit more flush, we're not going to have any problems. So Again, future problem, but we're going to beef this side up for now. Just to be on the safe side of things. You know what? Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think this will be the bottom because I have some pretty ugly 2x4s here, which I don't really want to be the top where all that weight's going to be. You know, there's some serious checking here on this stretcher. I don't want that to be the load bearing stretcher. So let's mount the wheels. We'll toss it around. Let's see here how we're going to do this. I wonder if an angle's better. Either way, I'm getting pretty close to the end grain. I don't love that. But we're going to let it rip. It is what it is. I can't really change that. I could put little pads under there. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. Let's put some pads under there. And that'll also fix the issue that I had with it being like a ½ inch too short. We'll put some pads under there, which I need anyways for the casters. Raise them up a little bit and give me enough surface area. I don't want to drill too close to the edges of the legs. And that solves two problems for us. Let's do it. And I think I have some cherry that I didn't have a purpose for. Oh, that is perfect. I've got some like 5/8 cherry here, which I know is kind of a waste for this type of project, but it's what I have. And it is far too cold to stop planing out here right now, so. Let's set up Mr. Miter Saw over here. I don't know if you guys can still see me here. Let's tilt you guys that way. And basically, let's just chop some, whatever the thickness this is, we'll chop those up just to make squares. And what do we got here? About 4.5. And I'm just going to batch cut these. I don't really care if it's perfectly 4.5. Again, it's just a pad, so it shouldn't matter. Oh, excuse me. I keep sniffling here. It's brutal. And I'll just cut right on the line. And that should do it. And then if we, well, let's make sure this is wide enough. But yeah, see, now I'm going to have a nice area to screw this onto that's a little more hefty. Awesome. Then we can just kind of position these on each corner. I'll bring it back over. There we go. And actually, I just noticed that this stretcher is a little bit wonky. So this is the one I was trying to fix that I forgot about. Perfect. De-wonkified right there. I de-wonkied it. Okay, so we're gonna need a drill bit because I'm not gonna be able to screw straight through cherry. We'll do that one, whatever the size that is. I hope this comes with a bit. What the heck am I going to do with that little tiny thing? Perfect. Now this, guys, is why if you don't have a drill and an impact gun, this is why it's nice having it. Because you can drill and then drive right afterwards. That kind of sounds wrong. Like, no drilling and driving, guys. No, that really did nothing. Okay. That should be pretty good. And then what we'll do is we'll throw our caster on there. Oh, much better. Look at that. And now we have some actual meat. And I just want to make sure I have enough room to click that. Yeah, maybe I'll go to that edge and that edge. So that gives me plenty of... Yeah, we'll go right in the middle, actually. Yeah, I should be able to unlock that and lock it, no problem. Now I just got to find a Phillips. I should have the most of those, but I don't. This is the part of the project where I have like 100,000 things hanging around. And they all start getting in my way. No. Okay, that hole is not big enough for this. I think a little splittage is okay here. Now. Beautiful. I didn't even measure. Hopefully that's not over the height that I need. Now let's think. So we're at like 30. No, should be fine. In theory. I think. Oh wait, maybe not. No. Now this is where careful planning would be awesome. You know what? I don't think that's going to give me enough clearance. Yeah, we're going to live on the edge, guys. That thing's coming off. It's going to be, so the reason why this isn't going to work is that I'm going to be right at the exact height of my table saw table. And if I'm going to be using this as an outfeed, I don't think that can work because I typically will bring this whole setup outside. I bring my table saw outside, and the unevenness of my driveway, even if those two surfaces are dead flat, if one table is tilted a little more than the other, it's going to be higher than the table saw. So it's a no-go. Oh, Wes, what's up, man? No, it's freezing out here. Look at my breath. Miserable. I got some toe warmers though. That's kind of helping. But thanks for stopping by with us. I appreciate it. If you haven't figured out already, I'm building a workbench. A 4x4 workbench in the cold. Now, right now, I'm just having a little issue with trying to get these casters put on. But I think we're just going to send it. I don't think it's going to chip out too bad. Maybe if I put them at a slight angle or something. Yeah, I think if I just do that, it'll be fine. I am going to pre-drill though, because if not, I'm going to be guaranteed this isn't going to work. Throw one right there. Oh yeah, that'll be fine. And if I keep saying it'll be fine, we'll all believe it. But yeah, Wes, it's been brutal. It's been too cold up here. All my fine woodworking projects I really can't do. But I figured this bench is not going to care if it's cold. I don't have to use any glue. Well, I will have to use some glue, but really just construction adhesive, not glue. Like I was saying earlier, I found some construction adhesive that in theory should go down to 10 Fahrenheit application temp. So should be good. Yeah, I think I was overthinking this with those pads. I'm just gonna do this. A little bit of an angle there. Look at that, like butter, dude. I don't know if you guys ever watched that stale cracker guy. Pretty funny. I think his channel is like Stale Cracker Official or something. Yeah, it's not my jam either, Wes. If I could move down to where you are or somewhere similar, I would in a heartbeat. I just have too much family. My kids are already established here. It would just be so hard to move everybody. Not to mention, I don't think I could find the job that I do down south very easily. So that would also be a kind of a problem, I think. And as you can probably tell from my videos, I'm not rich. I don't know. Maybe I'll be rich one day, though, and I can convince all my family just to move with me. Okay, what time is it here? I'm sure my wife is watching and being like, "You better get in this house." That's what I'm trying to do, Wes. I'm trying my best. You know, I'm trying to. You know, obviously, I'm gonna get rich off YouTube. Clearly. At this rate, in 100,000 years, I should be able to monetize. I remember watching that video you were saying, Wes. I know you were able to monetize, but like you said, we're just doing this for the spread our knowledge and have fun with it kind of thing. Man, making it rich in this game is like, I don't know. I think it's almost impossible. But another thing too is, you know, even if you did find some way to make it rich, right? The chances are you're going to end up doing stuff you don't actually want to do. Which to me, what the heck is the point? I have like 2 extra hours a day, maybe in the morning at 5 in the morning to do what I like. Now, if I make this a job, I'm not going to like it anymore. And not to mention too, like, again, I'm not going to try to play to the algorithm. Like, I don't care. As you can see here, I'm like dressed up like I just woke up. I'm in my small little beat up shop. I don't care. This brings me joy. And again, it'll allow me to, my kids will have these videos. Their kids will have these videos. Other people can use my videos. And if I can help one person do a project, I know it's not quite as noble as like, you know, saving someone's life or something, but if I could just help one person, if one person can watch my videos and be like, oh, cool, that was a good idea, I'm going to do it. That's it. That's all I need. Because not only could I possibly be able to help somebody, but I'm also doing what I like anyways. So it's perfect, you know? So I think of YouTube as like my personal library of all my workshop shenanigans. But in the same breath, if Festool wants to sponsor me, I'm all up for it. Let's do it. That was my begging Festool to sponsor me voice. Hey, you know what? That'll be like a community outreach to them. They can give Festool to poor guys like me and be like, hey, look at that guy can do it too. He can use our tools. even though he's not fancy. Wow, look at that. It's a good angle right there. Could be like community service for them. Oh yeah, Wes, I totally agree. But you know what though? You have the charisma, man. You have like that smooth delivery. I don't know. I think you're gonna go big time soon. I mean, you already are pretty much there, but I have a feeling you're gonna go pretty big. But you should, anyways. You deserve it. Some people just got that delivery, you know, that like I have a feeling some people watch US just because they want to hear you talk. They don't even care about woodworking, right? I think you got that, which is a huge part of this, I think. Because you can get viewers that have probably never picked up a tool in their life watching you. For me, they're going to put it on my channel and see me yapping and be like, nah, I'm not so into woodworking, but if I am into woodworking, maybe I'll stay around for a few minutes. I should probably end this project soon because I'm sure my kids are awake now. But hopefully they're not driving my wife absolutely insane. What did I do here? Something went wrong. Okay, we'll do a big angle. Again, let's Bob Ross it. If I want a big old screw here, I'll put a big old screw here. The biggest screw I want. If I want to put it at an angle, I'll put it at a big old angle. This is my project, and I'll do whatever I want with my project. It's my world. Okay, cool. We got the casters on. That took way too long, guys. Way too long. Let's flip this bad boy around. Oh, Wes, no way. You don't mumble. Come on. You're too humble, man. Way too humble. That's what I like about Wes's channel, too. If he makes a mistake, he shows you how he fixes it, and it's cool, you know? When I see these polished YouTubers, and hey, that's cool. I wish I was one, but I just imagine how much work they take to edit their videos and stuff, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. Okay, let's see if she rolls. Well, actually, here, let's see. This is the top here. Oh, that'd be perfect. Because I want this to be a little bit lower than the table saw anyways, so when the boards come off, you know, they're going to sag naturally, and they'll rest on this table. So this will work as an outfeed table and just my bench, which is cool. But here, we got to do the test here. Oh man, these casters are, I mean, 21 bucks for these 4-inch casters on Amazon. How do you beat that? Sweet. So we got that. Now let me lock everything in place here. We're going to finish up quick because, again, I'm sure my wife is probably like, where is this dude? But yeah, Wes, that was my plan. I have such a small workshop that it's just, everything's annoying, right? Everything's in my way. And I figured if I can use this as an outfeed and use it as a actual workbench, because I needed, you've probably seen some of my other videos where I'm doing everything on this table saw. I'm doing all my work here. It's like this big. I don't want to damage my table saw, so I'm always careful. I wanted an actual assembly workbench where I can like build stuff, or I don't know. It's kind of like the bunk beds. I don't know if anybody's watched Step Brothers. I can do so many activities now. Okay, so we got that built. Let me hurry my butt up here because, again, my poor wife does everything in my house. And I mean everything. And I'm out here building projects for you guys. So big props to Mrs. Boring Girl DIY for letting me do this. Because without her support, I would be not boring guy DIY. I'd probably be in the house being beat up by my kids in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. They're really good kids. Okay, another stretcher piece here. Let's beef this bad boy up. Yes, good storage. Oh, boring DIY wife. I like that. That's her name from now on. But yeah, I'm also going to put, yeah, Wes, I'm definitely putting whatever it's called, a shelf under here at some point. I forgot to buy the wood though. Like I wasn't thinking about that. So I'm going to beef up this side for the vise. We're just going to throw another one in here, another 2x4. I think I got plenty. Thank God. Ooh, what if we'll see how this is going to fit actually. Wait a second. I might be able to just beef it up with a 4x4, which would be even better. No, I think a 2x4 would be more appropriate here. Say hi to Wilton, guys. This is Wilton. A really nice guy. You know, it gets lonely in here in this workshop, so it's kind of like Wilson from Castaway. I've been talking to Wilton instead of you guys. As you can tell, I talk a lot, so I've been talking to Wilton excessively. He's a good guy. You know, back when he was a 4-inch vise, he was into woodworking, but now he's an 8-inch vise now. He got a little bit bigger, so he's moved on to bigger and better things. So I'm just bringing him back in the shop, getting him reacquainted. He had a couple little baby bench vices to take care of for a few years, so I'm just trying to get him back in the shop, get him working again. But yeah, let's add one more 2x4 here real quick. Every time I come out here, I tell my wife, like, oh yeah, I'll be out there 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes. Yeah, no big deal. I'll be right back. 3 hours later. I gotta take a little hair off. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I don't like working on my table saw. See? Smashing the crap out of it. Let's see if that'll fit now. Beautiful. I think I'm gonna pocket screw it and face screw it. I think that'll be the best, strongest way to do this. Oh yeah, time doesn't exist, 100%. Once you're in here, I swear, like you could be in here for 2 seconds, or it feels like 2 seconds, and it's like 4 hours. Especially with the stuff that you do, Wes. Like when I'm in here, like sanding a project or like doing the fine details, you get lost in it, right? You don't even realize you've been doing it so long. Which I guess is that's good. That means that we truly enjoy woodworking. If it becomes a annoying thing to do and you're like counting the minutes, then hey, you should stop woodworking or take a break or something. I don't know, because that would totally defeat the purpose. I've never had a vise, guys. This would be my first vise, so I'm pretty excited about that. And Wes, I remember you saying that you were pretty, I wouldn't say life-changing, but pretty darn nice to have. And I actually got this vise. It was the person who gave me the saw stop, the free saw stop that I got. They were also throwing away the vise. So I took that too. I know, throwing away a saw stop, like throwing away and saw stop in the same sentence is insane. I agree. But it worked out for me. Let's take a little hair off. A little scotch. take a little scotch off this. But yeah, I was thinking I was going to do a full restoration on the vise, but it works. It's a vise. It's going to get beat up anyways. And I'm like, you know, is it really worth doing a restoration? I don't think so. I might just minimally restore it. I might just take it apart, grease it up, take off the rust. I'm certainly not going to paint it because it's 20 degrees out, but I don't know. It could be a good little video in the future. Now, Wes, I don't know if you joined me earlier. Oh, great bargains. Those are my two luckiest things, I swear. And the miter saw. I got that for a good price. But otherwise, I'm not very lucky when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'll take it, though. I'll take it once in a while. But anyways, Wes, you seem to be pretty active on here. So if you weren't here earlier, I'm also going to build a rudder table out of this. I have a little rudder plate, those little metal like metal insert plates for the rudder table. I got it for $10 at Rockler. Oh God, I do get good deals sometimes. I happen to get it for $10. And I'm thinking of mounting it probably like, I don't know if I'm going to do it like a triangle, like maybe have the fence go this way, or maybe just have it here. But I'm thinking this will be a real multi-purpose bench. It'll be rudder table, outfeed support table, storage, and my vise table. That'll be the next live that I do is probably going to be me trying to figure out how to make that work. I've done it one time before when I was in high school. I made kind of a combo bench. And yes, I was that weird kid in high school that instead of going out on Friday nights, this is my routine on Friday nights. I'd get in. I wouldn't do my homework because it's Friday. And then, okay, don't go diagonal. Keep that in mind. I think I agree with you. Maybe like a nice 4-foot fence would be nice. On Friday nights, right? So I'd get home. I went to a technical school, so Voc, and I did carpentry. So I already loved carpentry at that point. 1 second. And what I would do is I would come home. I would work on a project for a couple hours. And then on the DIY network, there was, I don't know if anybody has seen Woodworks by David J. Marks. I like to think of him as kind of like Norm Abram, but much more of a fine woodworker. You know, incredible turnings. I mean, this guy is just top notch, right? And I would basically do woodworking for a couple hours. I would shower, get some dinner, and around 6 o'clock, Woodworks would be on. I'd watch that for an hour, and that was like my Friday night, which I absolutely love that. So I was always a weird kid, you know? I didn't like parties. I've never been to a party. You know, I just never really, never was my thing. I'd rather be out here doing this. And that's the same till this day. I'd still rather be out here doing this. Just going to pop some screws in there, strengthen this up a bit. And I also hit up my local hardware store. I think they were switching their screw brand. They had like these Sabre screws, which I absolutely love. I mean, you can see here, they got this weird kind of shank on them. And man, they're amazing, right? I don't know why they're getting rid of them, but they had everything 50% off. So I hit that sale hard. There we go. That's going to hold ice, I think. Let me just check the comments before I get into my next thing here. Keep it near the edge. Never need to lean. I completely agree. Especially, I'm not getting any younger, so I notice, especially on the concrete floor, man, my back, after a couple hours, I'm dying. But yeah, these screws anyways, they have this little twist shank on there. I think that's to keep things from, it's almost like a counter bore. So when it goes in, it removes some material, and I never get any splitting with these guys, these sabers. I might even try to see if they still make them, sell them on Amazon or something, because I like them that much. But I did stock up a little bit. I got a nice little bin over here. All sorts of screws. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, most of my projects are finer woodworking, like smaller things, boxes. I don't ever use fasteners, really. Glue is all I use. So I think the screws that I have should last me quite a few years at this point. Okay, so we're good there. That's going to be the vise side. Beautiful. Now let's get to the top real quick. And I say real quick because I'm going to have to go inside and get the glue. And I'm sure my kids are going to be going crazy. So it's going to be tough for me to go inside, grab that glue real quick where it's warm, and sneak back out here. But I'm going to try to do it. But first, I'm going to lay everything out. So that way I can tell my wife that it'll only take me 5 minutes. See what I'm doing there? She's probably watching right now, so that's probably not good. If I don't come back, you know what happened. Okay, so we're going to pull out. I already pre-cut these yesterday, just some 3/4 inch ply. Now, I want to show something to, if people aren't, I'm sure most of you probably know this, but most plywood, especially at Home Depot, isn't flat. You're almost never going to get a flat sheet. If you are, you got the unicorn. So I don't know if this camera you can see here, but I have some potato chipping. Looks like a potato chip a little bit. So what I'm going to do to counteract that is I have a crappy side and I have a good side. Good side, crappy side. I'm going to lay the good side down. This is going to be underneath the bench. I don't really care about it. And then we're going to take the other piece. Actually, I take that back. This part has a chip. I'm going to switch these around. And then I'm going to get to my point. Okay, so this is the crappy piece. Got some chip out there, so I'm going to leave that in the bottom. And I'm going to put potato chip side down. So the convex, this part, the one that bows down, is going to go this way. And as you can see, I don't know if you guys can see on the floor, I got some wiggle there because it's rocking. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other piece and I'm going to flip it the opposite way. Just like that. Now, let me see if I have something to kind of illustrate this point. It's going to be very rudimentary, right? But, oh, cross members. Yes, 100%. Thanks, Wes. I actually forgot to do that. I am going to throw a cross member there. That is a great, save me on that one. So think of this. This is the bottom piece of plywood. Like this on the floor. It's bent like that. And then the top one, let me see if I can get my little model here. The top one is going to go like this. So when I put them together and I screw everything together, it's going to straighten themselves out. They're going to counteract each other. So that's my thought there, is that they should counteract each other and pull each other straight. And then, of course, when I bolt that to the table, that's going to also pull it flat. So it's kind of a double whammy. But this is where that adhesive is going to come in. And I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to work. So the plan is going to be, we're going to spread some of this PL Super Awesome Max. It's whatever the PL adhesive brand, whatever their best one is. That's what we're going to do. And actually, I changed my mind. Because I'm going to be screwing, I'm going to flip this whole assembly around. Because I want my screws on the other side of the table. So we're going to plop this down like this. And then I'm going to mark lines every, I don't know, let's say 6 inches. That sounds That feels right. And because I don't have any clamps that could possibly clamp this together, we're going to use screws on the underside to basically be like a temporary clamp while this adhesive dries. So if I just do this, I'm going to draw score lines every 6 inches. It may seem like a lot of screws, but it's going to be necessary for a strong workbench. Back to the adhesive. So I did my research. That's one good thing. One thing I am good at. Not the planning in the shop, but the pre-work for the building projects. Is that PL Adhesives makes this Performance Max adhesive. And supposedly, it can cure in temperatures all the way down to 10 Fahrenheit, which is exactly what I need. It is 20 degrees. It shouldn't drop below 20, I don't think, in the next few days. So that should be good enough. So what I think I'm going to do here, let me make my grid. I'll finish up my grid here. And at each intersection here, I'm going to put a screw. And that should be a pretty quick thing to do. That actually might take me 5 minutes. So I think we'll be good with that. And I think I'm going to probably want some around the edge. So I might do the grid in the middle, the grid that I'm drawing. And then maybe I'll do, I don't know, 2 inches away. And then when I make that router plate, so when I do put a router plate in here, in theory, all that glue should be nice and dry by then. So what I could do is I could just remove the screws that might interfere with that plate and then route it out. That's going to be what I'm thinking the plan is. Well, that didn't really work. And guys, if you don't have a T-square and work with sheet goods, I highly recommend one. You can make a a minute-long project where if you had something bigger, it would have been a lot worse. I mean, something bigger, a level or something, it might be a lot worse. And I think the good thing about this adhesive too is I think it has a half-an-hour working time, which is really nice. It'll give me plenty of time. You know, even in the summertime, if I was doing this, it'd give me plenty of time to move stuff around and get things positioned. I don't have to worry about the glue anxiety. If anybody's done a glue up, you know that there's some serious anxiety as part of that whole process. Okay. Do the opposite edges bowing towards each other. Bowing towards. I agree, Wes. I totally would have, but it happens to be that the crappy side is the opposite way. I totally agree with that, though. They should bow towards each other and kind of like bow clamp each other in. But unfortunately, that will make me show the crappy face, and I don't want to do that. So I'm hoping the combination of this plus, if I put two, I'm thinking if I put 2 cross supports here, that should be enough to hopefully suck all this flat. That's what I'm hoping. Hey, Dan. But yes, Wes, that is 100% the correct way to do it. I totally agree with you. Now, I will be right back. I'm going to go grab the adhesive. I'm going to leave my microphone here. I'll be back in, I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I'm back, guys. I know you missed me. Okay, this is the stuff I'm talking about. PL Premium. Should be pretty good stuff. Hopefully the outside noise. Is the outside noise too much for you guys? Is it distracting? I don't know if you guys can hear it. I just opened my garage, so pretty noisy. But I'd like to keep it open because it's like sunny. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to prep a little bit here. So lost my mic. We're going to run a nice thick bead all the way around it. Okay, good. No outside noise. Awesome. That's what I'm going for. I have this neighbor across the street, right? When I mean across the street, we're like 500-600 feet away from each other. We're not close. One morning I was outside and I was using a belt sander. I mean, you guys know the belt sander is not super noisy, like the benchtop units. Pretty quiet. Like my wife and kids are sleeping right next to me. They couldn't hear it. This guy came out. He was wearing at me, losing his absolute mind at me. And of course, I just continued because I was well within my rights to use a sander. And I know he couldn't hear me. It was just such a weird situation, you know? Usually I'm a very courteous guy, right? Like I don't use power tools outside until it's, you know, the right time to do so. But that was interesting. Oh man, I need a new pair of scissors. And I think I got to poke it. Oh, it does come with a poker. I'm gonna wipe my nose, guys. I don't think anybody wants to see that. But yeah, anyways, it was a funny situation. He was screaming at me. He was like, F you, F you. Like just sitting there looking at him, continuing to do my work. I don't get bothered by a lot of stuff. I don't really care, you know. Anyways, who has done this, by the way? I don't know if anybody has done this. I have like probably 10 of these. I lose them all the time. So every time I get a tube of caulk, I buy a new one. And then the second I get home, I find it. So I got like a collection at this point. But yeah, anyway, so PL Max Premium. Pretty expensive stuff. It's like 12, 13 bucks a tube. So it better work. Like I said, it's supposed to be good down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which should work for me. Now, I'm assuming 10 degrees Fahrenheit means it's going to be an incredibly slow cure. I can't imagine it's going to be fast. But I don't care. I got all of the screws in there to help me out, you know. I don't know why this isn't coming out. Oh, there we go. Now that's the key too. So for us cold weather woodworkers. Oh, Dan, man, I wish I lived in your neighborhood. But I mean, I live pretty far away. Like where I live, I live in like a half. It's a suburb, but half the town is like farming kind of a thing, and half is kind of a suburb. I live like right on the edge of that, right? So my houses are, I live on about an acre lot. Everybody else has about an acre. We're pretty spread apart. So I know it's not a problem. When my wife and kids, my house is 120 years old. I have no insulation at all. And if they're not waking up, I know that no one else should be able to hear me. But I don't know. Some people just have better things to do. It was funny because it was the second I turned that sander on, like literally the millisecond. So that person had to have been watching me, which was weird. It was like 7 in the morning, right? That was just weird to begin with, but whatever. I mean, everybody can do their thing. I don't care. It's weird. Now, I don't know why this isn't coming out. There we go. Okay. So let's get spreading. Adhesive, guys. Jeepers. And I also would, if I did have the choice there, and I don't, because of the way I cut this plywood, I would also alternate grains a little bit. That might make it slightly stronger, but I don't think it's a big deal. And I also plan on cutting this after. So if I get any squeeze out on the edges, I don't even care. But the edges are where I want there to be the most adhesion, I think. That's where I'm most concerned. Man, even this stuff being inside, it is like peanut butter. Wow. You know, this is one of the skills I've never acquired. So my dad is a professional painter, and I've helped him through the years, you know, doing side jobs, stuff like that. And caulking, I can't do it. I can't do it well. I've tried. I mean, one time I tried to caulk around my sink, and my wife had to spend like a half an hour cleaning up my mess because it would just look like a toddler did it. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this. This seems like it's a little too hard. You know, we're going to cut off the whole tip because I don't mind having gobs of this stuff. That'd be actually better. Whoa! Slippage. Ah, no, don't go there. I'll have a forever goop. Okay, I should do better here. Let me just check the comments, make sure. Yeah, I did. It was super weird, man. It was so weird. Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is going to cure in the next 25 years or so. I think you're probably definitely right on that one. Man, it doesn't want to come out. It's weird. I really broke the seal in there too pretty well, I thought. Yeah, we'll try it again. We'll try to break that seal. I thought I did. Oh, man. Whatever. We're going to roll with it. I'll just have carpal tunnel by the time we're done. This is so odd. Yeah, this is when we'll work in the ASMR. ASMR. Well, if this stuff is as good as they claim, should be all I need anyways. Ah. I'm definitely going to use all of it because I have no use for this after that. So gob it up. Maybe I'll really goop it up on the corners. Feels right. You know, it's funny. I'm pretty sure my family was definitely watching this live because I went inside to grab this caulk, and my daughter was like, "Shut up, Mom! Shut up!" I think they heard me say, "I hope everybody's under control," and they put on a staged argument for me. Real funny guys. Filthy animals is what I call them. Filthy animals. Okay, we're almost done here. I spent $12 for this. I'm using all of it. Hopefully I didn't use too much. And hopefully it'll come together. But I think with screws every 6 inches, I'm not going to have no problems here. Yeah, that's good. Am I going to spread it? That sounds like that would be a good idea, Dan. That would be a swell idea. See, this is why I did this live. You guys are smart. So smart. We'll see if it'll spread. Yeah, it does spread pretty nice. Dan, you just saved the day, I think. I think this is going to come together way better now. I won't have to worry about big globules. Globulomas. Cheapest. But I agree, Dan. Yeah, no, that's anytime that's what I was getting at before, and I got sidetracked. You know, it's funny. You swear I had ADHD or something the way I jump around the topics, but not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying. I'm just, yes, keeping stuff inside. So, Dan, I know you're a cold weather woodworker. I think it was Illinois, right? I think that's where you were from. And that's what I do. So I'll come outside. I'll put my stuff in the house. I come out. I do the gluing or whatever I'm going to do real quick. And typically what I'll do is I'll clamp it together, then bring it back in the house as quickly as I can. I agree. Great way to do it. Okay, let's get this bad Larry on there. Beautiful. Now, I'm not too worried about getting this beautiful because I'm going to square up all the ends. I might just try to get 2 as square as possible, and then we'll just trim up. We'll trim up the other sides. I think that's going to be the best way to go about this. So we'll square up this side real nice. And we'll start screwing. Looks pretty good. I don't know if you guys can still see me. Oh, yeah, pretty good. Oh, this is going to work great. Awesome. I'll go corner to corner. I think I'll try to keep this side and this side square. The rest, I'll trim afterwards. That's going to be my best bet. And of course, I already got this all over me. That's kind of like, for any of you guys that work on mechanic type things, anti-seize. The second you touch anti-seize, it is all over you. I don't know what the heck. I don't know how that's possible. But anytime I put anti-seize on any kind of bolts, I am covered in anti-seize. And any of you guys who have used anti-seize, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, this is pretty good. Like I said, I have some substantial squeeze out. So I'm going to square this whole thing up afterwards. I'll probably square up a side with the circular saw. And then maybe I'll run it through my table saw, possibly. But I'm not terribly worried about it because I knew I would have some misalignment. So now I'm just going to try to be as quick as I can here. I probably should work in to out. So I'm going to start with the inner panels. And this should go pretty quick. Honestly, I think I could get away with not even using the glue, but so that's what I was thinking. Even if the glue fails temperature, I'm not even worried about it. We got enough screws here. Man, that'd be funny if I grabbed the wrong. Okay, good. Those are 1.25 inches. I was going to say, if I grabbed the 1.5 inches, so I'm just driving these through the front. Now, another thing that I was going to add to this workbench. Now I'm planning on, I'm just making the basic structure, right? So I'm going to do a lot of add-ons here. ACs, yeah. No, I agree, Dad. It's like crazy, isn't it? Oh, you lost a bunch of paints and finishes? Sorry, man. It's funny because I was actually good about that this year. I usually do the same thing. I wait for it to be a couple freeze thaws and then everything's trash. This year, I was somehow on top of it. I brought everything into my basement. So, yeah, that stinks. It's a lot of money. I don't even know what I was saying before, but probably wasn't important. Add-ons to the bench. So what I was actually thinking was, when it comes time to do the edging on this thing, I might leave it 1/4 inch proud on the top. And my thought process is that I can get a sheet of 1/4 or maybe 1/8 inch, but 1/8 inch hardboard, and then have a sacrificial top. So I'll basically just drop a piece of 1/8 inch hardwood and hardboard, and that'll be my top that I can destroy and replace it every couple of years. But I need to think on it because if I'm going to be incorporating my router table into this, that might be a small problem. So I gotta think about it a little bit and how I'll execute that. And I'm kind of on the fence. Well, actually, literally, that wasn't meant to be a joke, but on how to build my router table fence. Now, I have an old Rockler aluminum intrusion that I could probably use, but it might look a little stupid being on such a wide table. So maybe I'll do a homemade fence. Maybe I'll combine that. Maybe I'll use that as part of the homemade fence. I don't know. But man, having no router table has been killing me. That is something I'm very excited to have again. Almost there, guys. We'll get through this boring part together. Together, forever. We're gonna get through this boring part together. Actually, why don't we talk about plywood choice here? Why did I use what I use? So I'm using radiator pine, or radiator pine. I don't know, whatever the heck you want to call it. But I like to use that because it tends to, at least for Home Depot and Lowe's junk, it tends to have more layers. So I think this is like a 7 or 8 ply, and they're pretty decent plies. I stay away any finished plywood from Home Depot. Like when you get into like the maple, poplar, birch plywoods they sell, even their oak, their veneers are paper thin. Like if you even look at them, you look at those things wrong, it'll tear through. So, and of course, I probably wouldn't use that for a workbench, but out of all the options in terms of like sheathings and cabinet grade, the radiator pine falls right in the middle. You get a full, solid, thick layer, is what I like, so you can sand it down multiple times. It is softer, but I mean, all plywood pretty much is, right? So I would say this is my go-to for shop projects, is the radiator or radiator, or however the heck you want to say. And it's also marketed as their pine cabinet grade plywood. They do not, at least in my area, they do not have an equivalent at Lowe's. So I've only been able to find this at Home Depot. Because again, I do have a really good lumber yard somewhat near me. But I mean, their prices are very expensive. And they should be, because it's high quality. I just don't need that high quality all the time. But if I was going to do a finished, a finished project, I would definitely buy the substantially more expensive lumberyard grade, not lumberyard grade, but the high grade finished plywood, which can be, upwards of $200 a sheet. It's not cheap, but you get very high quality veneers. You get very high quality plies, and the glue is good. The biggest issue I've been having lately with Home Depot and Lowe's plywoods, and I know they source them from all over the place, so I don't know if it's just a regional thing or what it is, but I've been having a lot of delamination in my plywood from Home Depot and Lowe's lately, and it drives me nuts. I made a project recently for my daughter's dance studio, and I've had the biggest delaminations I've ever seen in my life. And it really just was terrible to work with. So I don't buy their sheathing anymore unless I'm going to be using it for sheathing or really rough construction work. And not only that, this stuff right here, the radiator pine, is about $50 a sheet. So it's reasonable. And again, very flat, very stable. I've never had any issues with it. Plywood Talk with Steve. If you guys ever want to know any random facts about like woodworking stuff, I'm your guy. Almost there, guys. Sorry if I'm ignoring you in the comments. I'll take a look in a second, but I want to just bust this out real quick. There we go. Oh, man. That looks pretty darn good. So now I'm going to build those stretchers. Hey, let's take a look here. It's a good plan. Thanks, Dan. Oh, no worry, Dan. Take your time. Do your thing. I'm just glad you stopped by as usual. You can do whatever you want. Now let's, thanks to Wes's reminder, let's get some stretchers going here. We need some stretchers. So let's move this out of the way. Oh, that stuck together really nice. Exactly what I was hoping for. Again, I'm not even going to clean the squeeze out because this bad Larry's getting cut up. Let's see how straight it came out. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's straight. And like I said, with a potato chip against potato chip. Yeah, wait, like this? No, like that. They sucked all together. I was working on becoming a woodworking hand model, for illustrating things, I have these beautiful sausage fingers, so they work really great for modeling, like convex, concave, straight. But I was going to have my modeling career, my hand modeling career. Then I had kids and everything got derailed. And now I'm here on my small YouTube channel, trying to regain some of my fame. Man, if you think you guys have to deal with me, imagine being my wife and my kids. Well, that's got to be brutal. I couldn't imagine dealing with me that long. Okay, we're almost ready to wrap this up, but let's get some pocket holes in the sides here, so that way we can mount the top. I'm going to do this now before it becomes annoying. I mean, I probably should have done it before, but this will be fine. I can jump in here and do it. It feels nice and solid, though. I'm pretty happy about that. And we'll do one. I think we'll do 4 on each side. I think that'll be plenty. Ooh. No, okay. No, never mind. Okay, got one there. I think I'll put this one way in the corner here because this is going to be where the vise will probably go. So we'll put that one all the way on the edge. Maybe one like right there. Should do it. And again, here, I'm not really concerned about where I'm putting stuff. I'm just putting it. No one's going to see. That. Oh, did this slip? Oh. Oh. But yeah, I think a couple pocket screws should be plenty to hold this on there. If not, we can beef it up at a later time. That's what I like about some projects, right? You can just improve upon them little by little. You don't have to be perfect the first shot. Okay, got this one. Now we're going to go around it here. But yeah, I didn't want any face screws to the front, the top. I wanted to have a nice smooth wood surface, so I think the pocket screw is going to be the way to go here. Now the funny part is, I don't know if I bought enough pocket screws, so we're going to probably put on as many as we can. Just see how it goes. Okay, so we got that. Blah, 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 blah. We got that done. I'm going to quickly cut maybe 2 stretchers. I agree too. Like, right? Make the big so it works, and then you can always come back. And like I said, your workshop. This is your world. You want another little tree? I'm just kidding. I'm getting way too into Bob Ross here. But if you want to put a little 2x4 there, you can put a little 2x4 there. If you don't have to. I don't know. I think 2 stretchers would make most sense here. I'm going to put them closer to the middle though, because I'm thinking the rudder table is going to be here. Like right here. Let me see if I have the plate. I can show you guys what I'm talking about, but I don't know if I have it. I don't know. It's somewhere, but I have a rudder plate. And I'm thinking if I put that right here, like Wes was saying, not too far in, so I'm not leaning, but, you know, nice comfortable position. I can route my stuff. I think that'll be cool. So I'm thinking if I put the cross members here and here, that should be well clear of that. So, but I might cheat this one in just a little bit. So I definitely don't have any issues. Well, I definitely do have issues, but I don't want this project to have issues. So what do we need here? We need, let's say 39 1/8. 39 1/8 it is. And you know what's even more amazing about this project, guys? Is that I bought enough wood. I cannot believe I bought enough wood and didn't mess up and have to go back to the hardware store like 8 times. Oh, like butter. Like store brand butter. Yeah, this isn't like the brand name. It's a little bit off, but store brand butter. It's like store brand butter. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna slop that one on there. Give ourselves a line. Man, I'm just looking at my workshop right now, how much I have to clean. Now, when we tell our significant others that we're going to be in the workshop, right? How many of you actually account for cleanup time? I 1000% don't. So, you know, I'll be like, I'll be out here for an hour. And then I know in my head it's probably going to take me, what, half an hour to clean up. But I can't include that in my total time. Right? That would be irresponsible as a woodworker. So we're going to shove a couple more pocket holes in there. And then we'll pretty much be done. I'll put the top on, and then in the future live, I will cut the tabletop, make it nice and even. Swap these around. You know, I will say though, when it comes to shop messes, I don't know if any of you guys have worked with Paduk. I know I've seen Wes working with Paduk and Purple Heart. My God, that Paduk just gets everywhere. And they'll be finding Paduk sawdust in my workshop for the next 100 years. It is brutal. Then I'll go inside, I blow my nose, it looks like I've been bleeding. It's horrible. Horrible. Yeah, we're definitely going to be running light on screws here, fellas. Where should I put these? Let's see. I'm thinking, why don't we do, we'll do 15. You know what, this one, we're going to do 16 in. And that, again, I would usually like to spread these out a little bit better. But if I want to do a router table, I need to leave myself some room for that insert. And I think having that support in the middle is probably going to be more, let me use a fancy word here, advantageous to the project. Oh man, I bet canary wood. It's very similar. Kind of that like really nasty sawdust. Yeah. It is some brutal stuff. But you know what though? I would say Padauk is my absolute favorite wood to work with. It's just the right hardness. It's easy to machine. It takes a finish beautifully. You know, compared to some of the other exotics, it's not $1 million. It's not cheap, but it's not. I would say on the list of woods that I hate the most to work with, one would be Wengi. I love Wengi, my favorite wood probably, but it is the worst to work with. Splintery, super open grain, absolutely destroys your tools. It has tons of silica in it. And the same with Purple Heart. Love the way it looks, hate working with it. That's like when I see Wes does it, he's over there hand carving Purple Heart. It just, I can't believe he does it. Because that stuff might as well be iron. It's so hard. Iron. Let's get this in there. And then we're going to, I think, wrap it up. Now, this is where it would have been nice if I cut these a little bit tighter. I wouldn't be fighting it. Let's see here. Let's try to get one in. I'm going to go a little bit lower than the surface here. I just don't want any problems with it interfering with the top. Oh, why are we having trouble? Okay, we got that one in. I think this one I cut a little bit bigger. Oh, there we go. Should be able to jam that right in there. I think. Yeah, let's do the sideways squeeze. There we go. I would say this thing's not going anywhere. Oh, except for me, I can't. I have like these little short legs. Like for my body size, I got some weirdly short legs. Hey, Eagle Wing, thanks for joining. I haven't seen that name yet. Forgive me if you have been on my channel before, but I appreciate you stopping by and spending some time with us. Building a workbench here. Almost wrapping up for the day. We got the base built, the top built. I think I'm going to throw a couple pocket holes in here so that way I can really suck that top in nice and flat. Maybe we'll just do a couple double pocket holes right here. I'm getting to the point of the day where I'm a little bit lazy. And I just want to be done. And I ran out of pocket screws, so I'm going to definitely need some more. But for today, I think we'll just tack that bench on to give some visual satisfaction. See that I, to know that I did something for the day. And then we'll call it quits. Why don't we add another bit to the middle here? We'll add one. Yeah, we'll add a double in the middle. Why not? Again, this is my world, my workshop. And if I want to add a big old hole right there, I'm going to add a big old hole right there. But then, right, I don't know if you can see clearly enough, but I think this should give me enough room for a rudder insert. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think a couple inches in right here, I could do the rudder insert, the plate, the aluminum plate, maybe make a 4-foot fence right there on some sliders. I think I'll use T-track though, because I just saw a problem that I'm going to have. If I use bolts that go through the table for the fence to secure it, this is going to get in the way. I won't be able to slide the fence back and forth. So I think I'll buy myself some 4 feet of couple 4-foot sections of track, T-track, and I'll do T-track straight down. And then maybe a miter slot this way. And I could also use that T-track to hold all my stuff down as a clamp. So it'll be like a multi-functioning thing. Thanks, Dan. I needed some confirmation there. Makes me feel better that I made the right choice. What is that saying? The truth is the thing that all people agree on or something? I don't know. I just watched Wicked 2 with my kids and they said that. So I thought that would be a smart comment to say. The truth is what we all agree on, whether it's the truth or not. Okay, let's get this top on here. Oh my God. Yeah, too bad when I go in later, I'm gonna be like, look at how messed up my back is, honey. My back is all messed up. I don't know why. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did to make my back hurt. I have no idea, honey. How is it strong? Oh. Oh. Yeah, this is nice. This is strong. This is 230 pounds of pure Boring Guy DIY muscle right here. Let's tack it in place with a couple. Oh no! I think I just cleaned off all the adhesive on my back. Why do I incriminate myself on these videos? Because then my wife is going to be like, "How is this all over your jacket?" I don't know. I've never even touched adhesive in my life. I don't know. I don't understand where that even came from. I don't get it. I was just in the workshop, not touching glue. I think I planned for like a 2-inch overhang. I set it right about 2. I know I'm going to cut some off, so it's not a huge deal. Definitely doesn't have to be perfect, but. Oh, wait, no. I wanted 2. No, I don't know what the heck I was thinking of for an overhang here. Let's do some measuring. 48, 42. Three-inch overhang. That's what I was planning on. Sure, I probably didn't plan that. But I actually kind of like that 3. So, gives me plenty of clamping space. Should be able to clamp things on there easily. We're just going to get it roughly on 3. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Again, I'm going to be trimming this back a little bit. So if I want to regain a little bit of edge on there, I'll just take a little more off. I just want to get it pretty down close. Let me see if I have any. I got one random one. I don't know if you guys have it, but I always have like a random screw. All the screws that I don't feel like finding where they belong. Yeah, always end up with a couple of extras. Oh, I actually have one extra. I had a bunch of these blue coated ones. Pretty good. I don't know. It looks like I used them once though, so hopefully the heads aren't all. Also, too, for that vise, I'm looking at a problem that I didn't anticipate, right? I'm going to need to put that vise flat up against the side pieces there. So what I'm thinking in the future is I'll most likely just notch out a piece here. Router plate. So I actually got one of those, the aluminum Rockler ones. I was in Rockler, and they actually were selling. It was a plate for a discontinued router, one of the big 3 horsepower routers. I forget what it was. I think it was the old port cable, whatever it was. The reason being is they had it in the back. And they were clearancing it because it didn't fit anything anymore. So I got it for $9. I couldn't believe it. It was like $9.99. And I'm just going to re-drill the holes to fit my router. I don't care. It's going to have a bunch of holes on it that are pre-drilled that don't fit. I don't care. It's for $10. I was like, that's awesome, right? So that's my plan, Dan. Is I'm gonna use a aluminum Rockler router plate, and that's primarily why I did an 1.5 inch thick top here. Give me some room to route that plate into. So I think it should work out pretty good. Oh man, I didn't think of how annoying this was gonna be. Oh. Oh, this is uncomfortable. make it work. Good for me. Good for government work. Good enough for government work, is what they say. It's looking pretty flat too, so I think we're good on that flatness that I was going for. You know what? I'm gonna tack a couple more screws in here, then maybe I'll just flip this up. Something. This is uncomfortable at best. Well, guys, I don't think I'm going to keep you here watching me screw in screws, but overall, I think I got a pretty good workbench here that we can work on and make a bunch of other things, add on in future videos. I think that'll be pretty darn good. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy around to watch me build a workbench. And I think the next video we'll probably work on adding to it. It's going to be planned. We'll do a vise, router plate, T-track. That's all we'll do, but we'll start there. I appreciate you guys. Have a great new year. And we'll start the new year with a bunch of good new videos. And enjoy. Morning, guy. Bye-bye.